And we can see your slides, but we can't hear you at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, yes, there you go. There you go.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Maria Whitaker with Indiana University, and I'm going to present on the proposed Samvera Working Group, the Developer Onboarding Working Group. So the last question that Liana addressed, it was very interesting because we're interested in figuring out best ways to onboard developers. The motivation for this was mostly my talking to people, because as a manager of developers in the Samvera community, it has been a challenge for us to onboard developers with no prior training on Samvera, and sometimes not even on Rails. And there haven't really been training camps lately. So it's been an issue over the years to onboard new developers. So the goal of the working group will be to create a body of resources to help Samvera development teams to onboard developers. And the activities that I list in here are activities mostly for things that came up in conversations, but the working group can actually start with new activities or think of other options for how to address this. But what is currently in the proposal is number one, and I think this is the most important of them, to create a curriculum to guide the learning process. Oftentimes, the problem is developers get overwhelmed with how much they need to learn and where do I start. And so creating a curriculum would be, I think, a very important step for the working group. And also, we wanted to have people share the strategies that they have used that helped onboard developers, and creating an inventory of resources that are currently available. We know that there is a lot of resources out there, but they're just not together on a page directed at onboarding developers. So you need to know that things are out there and how to search for them. So creating this inventory could be very helpful. Updating architecture diagrams, documenting important things about the code, collecting links to external sources that people have tried, blogs they have read, tutorials they've tried that they think are helpful, documenting tips from experienced developers. All these are good ideas. I was very interested in the proposal for code components, because that might help create some of these guides to developers. So, but any other suggestions that can be of help to onboarding developers can be part of this process. And so my next slide, not getting my next slide here, sorry. So the deliverables for this working group will be online documentation and resources to facilitate onboarding developers, but also a proposal on how to maintain this information current. Oftentimes we have this great documentation that we finished and it's perfect, and then a few months later, maybe a year later, is obsolete. So part of the deliverables would be figuring out a way to maintain this information current. Originally, we had this timeline to complete by the end of 2021. I'm not sure that this will happen, but once we have volunteers, they can determine what they believe is feasible. When I put the draft for this working group together, I was volunteering to be the facilitator, but as some of you know, I'm leaving the Samvera community, and so my name is no longer there, but there's a link there for you to join. The slides are available. There is a link there, and it's in the Samvera wiki, the proposal for the working group. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions that might be helpful to answer,